Hi everyone, I'm excited to be bringing you a special episode of Becca Bakes Boston. This is a recipe for an apple pie. Now, I do admit I am quite offended when people use store-bought pie crusts, so I just really don't want you to have to do that during this holiday season. I want you to make your own homemade pie crust, and it's super, super easy. We'll walk through the filling, and then we'll review how to do some cool decorative things to the top of the pie. It's very, very easy, and you're gonna impress all of your family members, I promise. Quick disclaimer, we do have a little kitten here, Chica. She is bouncing around the kitchen, and it is dinner time for her, so you might see her coming into the frames. Also, quick special thanks to Penelope Santana Photography for doing this video tonight. You can find her on Instagram. Okay, first start. So we have 2.5 cups of flour. To that, we're gonna add additional dry ingredients. So that's a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. I've already pre-measured them. So you're just gonna shake that into the dry. Very important that you wash your hands for this. I do have a KitchenAid mixer, which I know many of you may have at home, but this sort of recipe I really like to do with my hands. It's how I grew up doing it, so that's what I do. Make sure you wash your hands for how many seconds? 20, that's correct. All right, so we're gonna mix the dry ingredients all together, the salt, sugar, and flour. I'll make sure to include a recipe with this video. And then really important for the next ingredients, which is our 2 sticks of butter. I know that's a lot. And our ice water. It's very important that they are literally ice cold, both of them, because that helps with the flakiness of the dough. So you're gonna take the butter and add it directly to the flour. And this is the fun part. So you're gonna take your hands, grab the butter, and slowly incorporate it into the flour. So basically I'm just pinching it and incorporating it. We're gonna get tons of like little tiny pebbles of butter mixed in and broken in to the flour. Now, if your butter is not cold, you're gonna just kind of turn it into a bit of a mush, a bit of something that might look like cake or cookie batter, and that's not what we're going for here. We're going for little tiny crumbles. All right, so now you can see we've almost entirely incorporated our butter into the flour, so it's a little grainy and a little bit like tiny pebbles. Then you're gonna take your ice cold water and add just a couple teaspoons at a time. All right, we're starting to form a dough here. You can see how the flour and butter mixture is getting all incorporated. So as soon as we're able to get it into a ball, that's when we know that we've added enough water. So you can kind of see really nice there is this beautiful ball of dough. I'm just going to do it more like 1/3 and 2/3. And this bottom third is going to be the bottom of the pie, and this is going to be used for decorating. You then grab a Ziploc bag, push it down, and you're going to want to refrigerate this for at least an hour before you start rolling it out. And there we have it for the dough. Hey everyone, so the next step we're gonna do is make a really simple apple pie filling. So you're gonna take about 7 to 8 apples, depending on how high you like your apple pie. To this, you're going to add 1/2 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of white sugar. There is lemon juice on the apples, and that's convenient because lemon juice is a part of the recipe. You wanna have a tablespoon of lemon juice, and the sugar helps to cut that acidity. So I'm gonna shake that into here. And then next we have a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Remember that nutmeg is pretty strong, so adjust it to your preference. And then 3 tablespoons of flour. And this helps to keep and soak up some of the liquid that's generated from the apples when they cook. So now all of this is together here. Not sure if you can hear, but Chica's eating dinner next to me. And then again, using my hands, I'm just gonna mix this all together. that's all. The next step is we're going to roll out the dough and do the decorative topping of the dough. So I just took out the dough from the fridge and I have the larger piece here and the smaller piece here, and we're going to flour the surface. It's a little messy, but you'll want it so it doesn't stick. So you're going to flour the rolling pin and you're gonna turn it around. The goal is to get a circle. Now remember, it's pretty cold from being in the fridge, so you'll have to work at it a bit. All right, now once you've got it rolled out into a circle, you're gonna slowly roll it up onto the rolling pin. And that's where you take your pie dish. Now you don't need to butter this or grease it because there's tons of butter in the dough. And here's the trick. You just roll it on over. And then you're gonna come in here in the sides and pull it up and push it down. Now I'm gonna leave it like this because sometimes we like a little excess dough after we put the filling in. So you're gonna set this to the side and just cover it with a bit of foil so it doesn't dry out while we're doing decorating. Now we're going to keep our surface floured and use the larger of the dough, and we're gonna roll this out into a big circle. But first, while I'm here, I'm going to take about a third of what's left here, and we're gonna use that for decorating. Maybe a bit more. And again, this dough dries out really quickly, so make sure to put what you're not using back into the Ziploc. So this portion here is going to be the top that we'll cover the pie with. All right, so now that we have the top rolled out, we're going to roll this against our pin again, the rolling pin. Take our empty pie crust and add the filling to it. You literally just have to plop it in like that. And you wanna make sure that you get all the juice in there as well. And then with your hands, you can spread it out like this. And then you simply pull this and roll it on over the top. We're going to cut both about 1 inch away from the edge. I always like to leave a little extra, especially as we're designing the outside next. So we're gonna finish this pie off with a braid around the edge. And the way I like to tuck this in is just by folding this over. And again, we'll decorate it really nice with a braid. And then cover it like this with the foil on top as we decorate. So the next is the last piece of dough that we're gonna roll out. Now we're gonna make a braid with this. So we wanna roll it out pretty long. So in this direction. I don't want it too wide because I'm gonna try to get one big braid if I can. All right, once we have a pretty long section here, we can go ahead and one way to do this is to take a knife. You could use it against a straight edge like a ruler and cut it straight down into several strips. Or you can get a handy dandy tool like this. Wonderful. So we're gonna use these for our braids, and you wanna slowly separate them out, and you can keep them attached at the top. So additionally, this leftover piece here, I'm going to roll it out a bit because we're also gonna put a couple flowers. In order to do that, you can use a very simple tool. I know all of you have a cup like this. So for this braiding portion, you want to start with 3 pieces attached at the top, and you're simply going to braid it. All right, now that we have our 2 braids, I'm going to show you a very easy rose. So have 4 circles cut out, and you're going to need a little bit of water. So stick your hand in the water, and you're going to wet the bottom side of one of the circles and then overlap. Then you're going to do really, really tight and roll this up. All right, then once you've rolled up all your circles, it'll look almost like a little bit of a hot dog. You take your knife and you cut it right in the center. Come back to the water and seal the bottom. And there you have 2 roses. All right, we've reached the final step of the decoration of our pie. So you want to make sure to start this part by cutting 3 to 4 little holes within the pie. This is a pretty classic step that you've seen on most pies, and the reason is this creates little vents for the pie to cook. Now I always forget to put the butter in the pie, so at this point, if you forget like me, you can simply tuck the butter into the pie at this point. Okay, now we're going to take the braids and carefully add it to the edge. Oh, there's the kitten. Add it to the edge of the pie. This is a great time where you can take your water, depending on the shape, sort of create a little bit of a glue or a paste here around the edge. Will help it stick to the dough a little bit better. Then I like to put my flowers right in the center. Again, add a little water. And there you have it. And the last part here to make it have a really nice golden finish is that you want to do an egg wash. That's going to be 1 egg, the yolk and egg white included, and maybe about a 1/4 cup of water. You want to make sure that it's not too eggy because then it could look like scrambled eggs on your pie. So take like a barbecue little brush or a pastry brush. Now these little flowers can burn very quickly, so it's important that as the pie is cooking, you cover it with foil, and really important that you spray the foil so that it doesn't stick to the pie as it bakes. All right, so we're gonna cover this with foil and bake at 375 for 50 minutes. At the 50-minute mark is when I'm gonna take the foil off and allow the dough to brown. Here it is, the apple pie just came out of the oven. It smells amazing. It is golden brown. That's exactly how you want the dough to look. I would love if you tried this pie for any of the upcoming holidays, or even if you just wanna eat an apple pie like I'm doing tonight. I would love to see what it looks like. Feel free to send me a photo and I will post it on Becca Bakes Boston Instagram. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions as well, and thank you for joining me.